Today, I'm going to talk about civil disobedience, a form of action where people choose to disobey to the law to defend what they believe is right. First, I will give you a definition of civil disobedience. Then I will present a concrete example with the Larzac movement. And finally, I will share you my personal opinion on this topic. Civil disobedience is the act of deliberately disobeying a law or a rule that is considered as unjust in a public, collective, or non-violent way. The goal is not to destroy the system, but to change it by showing an injustice to the public and the authorities. It's a form of civil engagement that uses the breaking of the law as a way to bring about change. Imagine that you are a farmer living on land that your family has owned for generations. And one day, the state tells you that you will have to leave because a military camp is going to be expanded. This is exactly what happened in 1971 on the Larzac plateau in the south of France. The government decided to extend the military camp, which means that many farmers would be expropriated. But this farmer refused. There were exactly 103 of them, and they made a very strong decision. They signed a collective agreement in which they promised that never to sell their land, no matter the pressure. From that moment, they entered in a struggle that will last 10 years. Here we can see a large protest. Thousands of people are marching together, which show that the movement quickly went beyond the local level. What makes this movement particularly interesting is that it's based on civil disobedience, but without violence. The farmer used symbolical and smart action to attract attention. They organize large demonstration, brought the ship, used humor with slogans like sheep, not cannon, and even built structure without permission to show that they refused the state decision. For example, here, the farmer brought the ship to Paris in front of the Eiffel Tower to attract attention or make a strong impression. We also have this poster who clearly show the message they want to defend the land and their way of life against a military project. But the most remarkable action was when they decided to sell a small part of the land to thousands of people across France. This strategy was very powerful from a legal point of view, because to expropriate land, the state must identify each owner and carry out a legal procedure for every one of them. By increasing the number of owners from a few thousand to thousands, the farmer made the process extremely complex, long and expensive. This effectively blocked the project. It was a very smart way of using law against the state itself. Over time, the movement went far beyond the local level. Students, activists, and environmentalists joined the farmers. Gathering of thousands of people were organized, giving the movement a national dimension. Finally, in 1981, when François Mitterrand came to power, the project to expand the military camp was abandoned. The farmer won the fight. This example shows that ordinary citizens using peaceful, strategic, and collective methods can succeed in making the state change its decision. The Larzac movement shows that disobeying the law is not necessarily a negative act. On the contrary, it can be a legitimate way to defend one's rights when a law is considered as unjust. Thanks to collective, peaceful, and intelligent mobilization, ordinary citizens managed to make the state step back. This raises an important question. Is it always right to obey the law, or is it sometimes necessary to disobey it in order to move society forward? I will give you my opinion of this question. According to me, civil disobedience can be legitimate in certain situations, especially when the law are unjust or against fundamental rights. It allows citizens to express themselves and defend their belief without using violence. However, I think that we must be careful. If everyone decides to disobey the law as they want, it could create disorder and weaken society. That's why it's very important that civil disobedience remain controlled, non-violent, and based on fair value. To conclude, I will say that civil disobedience is an important tool in democracy, but it must be used responsibly. Sometimes disobey the law is necessary to make justice progress, but it always depends on the circumstance of the way it's done. Thank you for listening.